to make the Jacone sponge, whisk together your eggs and powdered sugar and add your flour along with your almond meal, or also referred to as flour. You just want to whisk it until it's all incorporated. And that's it. Next, you want to whip your egg whites that you are going to fold into the base of your Jacone sponge. Make sure you get some foamy action going here with your egg whites before you add your sugar. Now I'm going to rein in my granulated sugar. In the meantime, I have melted my butter. Make sure it's not hot and that it's just melted. We want soft peaks here. Okay, and that is my soft peaks. I will let you see this one more time. So it's just holding some peaks here. Next, I am going to fold in my meringue. I'm going to put a small amount in first. Fold it, fold it, fold it. And now I could put the rest in. You don't want to whip your egg whites too firm, otherwise they will be like styrofoam and they will deflate and not be very good for your cake. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, just do a folding. Make sure you scrape the bottom so that you don't have any cake batter from the base left on the bottom. Now I can take my butter, drizzle, and that's going to add a little more moisture to your cake, and quickly fold. Next, I'm going to pour that over my stencil that I have here, and I'm going to quickly pour this over it. And I'm going to distribute this with a offset spatula. So just very quickly, you want to, again, make sure that your cake is nicely set. Otherwise, it is going to move around. So freeze it or refrigerate it. And because it's got a fair amount of butter inside of the stencil, it will set nicely. I put mine in the refrigerator. This is going to go into the oven for about 10 minutes or so. Just a light golden brown. And that's all. The cake or Jacone sponge is now out of the oven. Take a little spatula, just sort of loosen it around the edges. I have a piece of parchment paper and fit it over your cake, flip it over. And now, carefully, peel away, going in one direction, and voila, there is your cake. You could see here, I did not hold my comb firmly across the pan. So make sure it is touching the pan, because here it didn't, and I should have went ahead and cleaned that up. But you get some pretty nice markings here. You could see the color very, very well. So you don't have to go super, super vibrant with a lot of food coloring, because then it'll taste bad. All right, and that is your cake. And now we will cut them into strips. So ordinarily, I would be doing this on a large sheet pan, making the stencil cake so that I can have a long enough strip to go around this cake pan or cake ring. So I pieced it together. Then I decided I would go ahead, I might do a layer in between. So I'm going to put a piece down. I cut from the ring mold and then I trimmed it. And then now I'll be ready to put my filling in. I'll put some filling in, and maybe I might do a second layer. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but you have that option. Your filling is the Bavarian cream, and remember the Bavarian cream is creme anglaise with gelatin to help it set, and then we are going to fold in softened whipped cream. So I think you are already familiar with how to prepare creme anglaise. I scalded my milk. I have my eggs here, and now I'm going to temper in my hot milk. I'll return it to the stovetop to complete the cooking process. Make sure that you strain your liquid, and now you could go ahead and add your gelatin. I'm using granulated powdered gelatin. So it has to go into a hot liquid in order to dissolve. So continue to stir until it's dissolved. So I am going to now cool off my creme anglaise. It's necessary to move it around over this ice water bath. I need to cool it down before I could add the whipped cream, because if you add whipped cream, also known as chantilly cream, to a warm mixture, it will break and curdle. So we don't want to do that. And we want to add some volume to our creme anglaise, make it more chiffon-like. In the meantime, I have whipped that cream, and it's in the refrigerator. All right, so now I'm going to incorporate my softened whipped cream into my base. I decided to add some pureed raspberry into my Bavarian cream mixture here. I just made a little adjustment to add that whipped cream puree to it. So I'm just going to start off with a small amount. So that's tempering. So temper a small amount. I'm folding it in carefully. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the remainder. And again, keep in mind, the more you incorporate, the more likely it is that you are going to begin to over mix your whipped cream. So do that carefully. Do not over whip and fold, but work quickly. We don't want to see any streaks. And fold, lift the bottom, lift the bottom. If you don't lift the bottom, then you will not have a nice homogeneous mixture. We don't want to see any streaks of whipped cream. And now I'm ready to pour. So I poured my filling in, my Bavarian cream, and it's going to set. I gave it a little tap so that I could knock out the air trapped inside. And you might want to take a little small offset spatula, try to flatten it out as best you can. My band is rather tall, not as tall as I would have liked to. I didn't think to cut it sooner. So what I should have done is maybe cut it a little shorter so that it would go right to that edge, or just above it, because we still have to put the glaze on. So it's going to set in the refrigerator for a few moments. The Bavarian is set. It remained in the refrigerator for about a good hour. And now I'm going to pour my glaze or my glaçage over it. I have this interesting color here. I combined mango and raspberry, and it just didn't make for a very attractive color. You simply need to heat your corn syrup and your water and sugar in a saucepan. Let it come to a simmer, remove it off the heat. You're going to add your bloomed, softened gelatin. Be certain to squeeze out all of the water. And I'm just going to carefully pour this mixture. I'm fairly certain that we might need to have added a tad bit more gelatin to this. So we are going to revisit and not as in making it again. However, I would like it to have a better set. I did make a batch ahead of time. And so now we're going to allow this to refrigerate and let the gelatin set. All right, so it is now set, and I'm going to carefully remove this. Uh-oh, I just have smooth it out. And I just slightly warmed this with a little bit of warm water, just so I get a nice clean look when it's done. And if you want to, you could, of course, decorate this further with a little piece of fruit.